What is going on, everybody? It is time for the UFC 274 breakdown and predictions. The fights are tonight. It is going down. Main event, of course, the lightweight title on the line for Justin Gaethje as he takes on the former UFC lightweight champion Charles Oliveira, who was stripped after missing championship weight. What a turn of events. The champion, who would have expected this? Charles Oliveira used to fight at 145 pounds for the longest time. The fact that he was able to move up 10 pounds, become the champion, defend the belt against Dustin Poirier, win defeat Tony Ferguson, and just what Charles Oliveira has been able to do in his title run has been phenomenal. 10 pounds up from his division. Now for him to miss weight at this division it's mind-blowing. So he will not be able to win the title tonight. If he does win, the title will be vacant. If Justin Gaethje wins, he will become the UFC's lightweight champion. We've also got a title fight between Rose Namajunas and Carla Esparza. This is a historical rematch of the inaugural UFC strawweight title fight. Whenever the Ultimate Fighter finale for the UFC strawweight division came out, these two girls made the finals and they battled for the belt. Carla Esparza won that fight and became the UFC's first 115-pound women's champion. She, of course, went on to lose that belt to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and we know the rest of the history. But she fought Rose Namajunas for the very first title fight, and now we come full circle. Thug Rose Namajunas, what she's been able to do on her historical title run, capturing the title, losing the title, regaining the title, defeating Joanna, defeating Wei Lee, defeating Andrade in the rematch. Just historical. Now she's coming full circle to see if she can defeat Carla Esparza, and I've got to tell you, oh, I was leaning Carla Esparza. That is such a tough fight for me to call because Thug Rose has always had a little bit of a problem with the grapplers, especially the wrestlers like Carla Esparza. So this is going to be a tough fight for Rose Namajunas. If she can win, we might see the historical trilogy, and if she loses, it's going to be hard for her to get a rematch against somebody she's lost to twice. So that's a very important fight in the co-main event. And then, oh Lord, we've got Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson. This is fireworks. This might as well be the 4th of July. This card, Gaethje Oliveira, fireworks. Ferguson Chandler, fireworks. Cerrone Lauzon, potential fireworks. Rua versus OSP. That's a good fight. All three of these fights leading up to the title fights are between seasoned UFC veterans. Honestly, I'm not trying to down the card because I'm so excited for it, but this could be a Bellator 274 card. Like Justin Gaethje, former World Series of Fighting champion. We've got Namajunas versus Esparza, the female title fight, and then we've got generally, if you've been a fan of the UFC for a while, the UFC would cut guys around 35, 36 years old, and they would go sign to Bellator and become Bellator main events. And you would be seeing these 37, 39-year-old UFC veterans headlining Bellator cards. Well, we've got 6 fighters on this card over 35 years old, and so that's just where the Bellator reference comes from. But either way, I'm excited to see these fights because the UFC's been signing a lot of new fighters, a lot of fighters that really don't have a lot of history in the UFC, and these are fighters we all know and love. So that's why this fight card is stacked. I'm definitely going to be tuned in, and I'm excited for it. Moving on, we've got Shogun Rua versus OSP. This fight, I want to see OSP get a Von Flue choke off low key. We haven't seen that in a while, but we're about to give our predictions in a minute. And of course, we've got Donald Cerrone versus Joe Lauzon. Donald Cerrone got emotional in the interview leading up to this fight. His son's going to be there front and center. He took some time off between his recent loss streak, and he said for this fight, it's a put up or shut up moment. He tuned out all the distractions, and if he can't win this fight, he knows it's time to hang him up. And even if he wins this fight, he might ride off into the sunset. But this is a put up or shut up fight for a legend, so that's definitely a great opener to the pay-per-view. Now, as far as the predictions are concerned, let's get straight into it. I'm going to go with the fight that everybody's here to see first. Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. Ooh, man, I can see this going either way. It's really hard to count out Charles Oliveira, just seeing what he was able to do against Dustin Poirier, who's one of the best lightweights in the world, I think, by far. In MMA math doesn't always play out, or it doesn't work. So you cannot say, okay, Oliveira beat Poirier and Poirier beat Gaethje, therefore Oliveira is going to win. That's not how this works. There's a lot of different intangibles that go into these fights. Different fighters, different. Justin Gaethje brings a different style, and he honestly, even though he fought Poirier, Poirier almost broke down like everybody breaks down against Justin Gaethje to those leg kicks. And Justin Gaethje brings those leg kicks to Charles Oliveira, who was not able to make weight for some reason. How can that affect him? Will it affect his cardio? Does it have something to do with some sort of training injury, which would definitely not fare well against somebody with devastating leg kicks like Justin Gaethje? So I'm honestly going to take Justin Gaethje to win this fight. I definitely could see that playing out, become the new UFC champion. If Oliveira wins, it's going to be a vacant title, and he could definitely pull that off. I think Oliveira's probably got the better jiu-jitsu in this fight, but when it comes to the stand-up, Gaethje is a fucking wrecking ball. He's got great defensive wrestling. He doesn't really need to take guys down, so I think he keeps the fight standing and just throws those leg kicks, forces Oliveira to potentially shoot. I don't think it's going to work. I think Gaethje's going to win this fight. So I'm taking Justin Gaethje in the main event. Co-main event, man, I almost took Carla Esparza. I almost did the wrestling. I really could see Carla Esparza winning this fight with the wrestling, the grappling. But Rose Namajunas was able to defeat Jessica Andrade in that rematch, and Jessica Andrade, she's known for slamming girls, staying on top of them. Rose Namajunas was able to adjust and defeat Jessica Andrade in the rematch, so she can keep the fight standing. I'm sure this fight she's just been working just rigorous wrestling defense to be able to keep the fight standing and win this fight. I'm thinking a decision. If the fight does go to the ground, Carla Esparza does get a takedown. Namajunas is dangerous. She's got great jiu-jitsu. And if Namajunas is able to win this fight, if it's a close fight, I think it'll be a close decision. I think we might see a trilogy of this historical fight. But if Esparza wins, which is very possible, then Rose Namajunas is going to have to kind of back up and sit, because she's not going to be able to get an immediate rematch having 2 losses to Carla Esparza. So extremely good fight, historical fight, tough fight for Namajunas to win. She should not be a minus 250 favorite at all. Or Esparza, I think Esparza should be the favorite, and I should be picking Namajunas as an underdog here, because it's going to be a tough fight for Rose, but I am going to pick Rose to win. With that being said, moving on to Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson, I'm taking Chandler, man. Tony Ferguson, he mentioned he feels like he's been facing retaliation tactics by the UFC. We've talked about politics on this channel in the past. Politics are real. Tony Ferguson might be onto something, but regardless, I've got to take Michael Chandler to win this fight. Tony Ferguson has been inactive. He's been getting his ass whooped pretty badly in his last out, in all of his most recent outings. Dariush, Oliveira, Gaethje, they all put it down pretty bad on Tony Ferguson. Michael Chandler's got a lot more motivation to win this fight and get his UFC career actually started. He's 36 years old, but he's still got a lot to prove in the UFC. So he's a lot more hungry right now to validate himself in the UFC. Tony Ferguson's a little more pessimistic toward the UFC, probably pessimistic toward his MMA outlook being signed to the UFC, just a little more negative right now. Michael Chandler's got a lot more to fight for. So I think if it goes to a decision, Tony Ferguson's tough, but Michael Chandler's going to be coming in swinging. He's going to be coming in swinging for the fences. Tony Ferguson's going to have to utilize his wrestling. Michael Chandler's a great wrestler himself. But Tony Ferguson said he's going to be shooting for takedowns, which is going to be new. But he could do that. He's got great jiu-jitsu. If Tony Ferguson mixes it up, he could win this fight. But I'm taking Michael Chandler to win. We'll see. I'm rooting for Tony Ferguson as always, but I'm taking Michael Chandler. Moving on to Rua versus Saint Prue. Not too much on this fight. 2 veterans. This is 2 guys that are both, I think, coming off of losses, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, I'm taking OSP to win this fight. It's been a while since we got to see his patented Von Flue choke. He's a guy that's very talented, but at the same time, both of these guys are nearing 40 years old. This could be a retirement fight for either guy, honestly. So not too much into this fight. I'm just taking OSP. Moving on to the opener. This might be the people's main event. Donald Cerrone versus Joe Lauzon. I mean, there's a lot of, between this and Ferguson Chandler, we've got 2 people's main events. But Donald Cerrone coming back, fighting against Joe Lauzon. Both of these guys have been fighting in the UFC. They've probably got 50 UFC fights between the two of them. I'm taking Donald Cerrone to win this fight. He's fighting for a lot. You know, he lost to Conor McGregor with the shoulder strikes, and you know, he was the butt of a lot of people's jokes for that fight and a couple other fights he's lost since then. He's got a lot to prove here. He's bringing his son for the first time into the crowd, sold out crowd. He got emotional talking about it. He said he went away from the ranch, away from the buffaloes and the cattle and all of that shit, and building fences. That way he could focus on nothing but fighting, which is what got him here. So he said if he can't win a fight where he's focused on nothing but fighting, then he'll know it's time to hang him up. But I know that's not the case for Donald Cerrone. If Donald Cerrone's not distracted, if Donald Cerrone's putting it all into fighting, he's going to be able to come in here and get a win against Joe Lauzon, who's been fighting against, I would say, a lot lower level competition. They're both veterans. They're both tough. But I think Donald Cerrone's a higher level fighter. And if he puts his mind on fighting, there's no way he should lose this fight. So I'm taking Donald Cerrone to come in and get a big fat W in front of his son. I hope he doesn't retire, but I would not be surprised if he lays the gloves down right there with his son in the octagon, rides off into the sunset, and it is what it is, man. And so with that being said, that's my predictions and breakdown for UFC 274. Make sure you tune in tonight. If I'm near a computer, I'm going to upload my immediate reactions. I just ordered a new phone, so I'm going to be able to do a lot more mobily anyway. I plan on getting a lot more active on the channel. And so tune in. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't. Tune into the new videos, and we might have something special coming up as well. We might have something special to announce in the near future, so make sure you stay tuned in for that. Share the video. Let the Full Time family know what you're talking about in the comments and who you think's going to win and why. I'm out.